Today is a very exciting day. Today I am sharing a snapshot of my brand new investments with you. I have recently opened my very first investment accounts. I have never owned a single share, never owned an index fund, never owned any stocks in my life that have been in my name. My ex used to have them. I did a lot of research into them, but I never owned them myself. So I am now the proud owner of shares in an index fund. Index funds are where you own a share of all the best performing companies. So the performance rises and falls when the market rises and falls. And to me, this is the most reliable way of increasing your wealth over a course of time. Not a get-rich-quick scheme, but a long-term plan. And I am in it for the long term. On this channel, Freedom Kitty, my aim is to retire in the next 6 years, to take early retirement at age 53. And a big part of that strategy is to invest in index funds and hopefully see them grow. And I do know that during this time, the market is going to crash and I will see my funds going down. And I'm totally okay with that. I recorded a different video on my plan B if the markets fall. I've got other options. I've got other ideas. I'm not concerned. I am in this for the long term. Most of my investments are going to stay in there past the 6-year point. I'm not going to take out all of my money. I'm going to leave most of it in there to grow. So this is a long-term strategy for me. So I very recently opened up 2 different types of investments. I opened up a stocks and shares ISA and a SIPP, a self-invested personal pension. The reason why I opened up the SIPP is because for every £100 that you put in, the government tops it up with £25. So that's free money. So it makes sense to put as much money as you can into your SIPP. But the reason why I'm not putting everything into the SIPP is because I plan to retire before the age in which I can access the SIPP. I'll be able to access the SIPP at age 57, but I want to retire at age 53. So I also need to have access to other money before this time. But I want that other money to be growing. And I think in the next 6 years, it will probably grow more in a stocks and shares ISA than it would do in a cash ISA. So that's why I've chosen to also invest regular money into a stocks and shares ISA, because this will grow with the same index fund. I've opened up the same index fund for my stocks and shares ISA and also my SIPP. The fund that I have invested in is the FTSE Global All Caps. And the platform, the provider where I log in and access these funds is Vanguard. Vanguard do charge fees, but I've heard they're a very good provider and very reliable. So that's what I wanted. At the end of this video, I'm going to explain how I learned about index funds and how I'm keeping my emotions in check as I see things going down. So let's dive into my very first investments report and let's have a look at the numbers. So let's dive into the numbers of my investment tracker. Now I've actually got 3 months recorded, even though I'm recording the very first video, because the data isn't really that meaningful until we get something to compare it to. So I'll just give you a very quick recap of what I've done so far. When I first opened up my stocks and shares ISA, I transferred £500 because that was the minimum amount of money I could transfer. Then I set up a direct debit, which came out a couple of days later, of £100. So it's paying £100 a month apart from that initial £500. Then 100, then 100. My SIPP, I just set up a direct debit straight away of £100 a month. And so far, these are the only 2 investment pots I have. Although I do currently have a work pension, I'm going to be showing you what's in my work pension, my very first work pension, next month. Because when I did my figures on the 1st of January, there was nothing in my pension, therefore nothing recorded. So let's have a look at my investment tracker. So the first row shows the amount added to my stocks and shares ISA. So this month it was £100, and then it automatically calculates the total amount added to the stocks and shares ISA. The white cells are where I type in, and the coloured cells are the automatic calculations, the formulas, so don't type in those. Then I record the total that's currently in my stocks and shares ISA, so it's £812. The next row shows me the change, including the amount added. So I added £100 and it increased by £98, which means I actually had a little bit of a decline this month. The next row shows the total growth or decline. So in December, it grew by £14, and in January, the total growth was £12. So the total growth went down. And then we've got percentage return. So the personal return percentage in December was 3.44%. And the total return percentage in January was 3.45%. This figure I got from Vanguard itself. So it takes other things into consideration. And this figure was calculated by me, showing me in pounds how much it had changed. Next, we'll move on to my other investment pot, which is my SIPP, my self-invested personal pension. I've added in £100 every month, so the total is £300 that I have added, but the total in my SIPP is £373, and that's because I've been getting tax relief. So every month that I've added £100, I've automatically been given £25, which is pretty nice. It's free money. So the total tax relief that I've had so far is £75. So the total change this month is £124. But as I added in £100 and the government added in £25, this is actually a decline. And then Vanguard gives me these figures. It says that I've had a personal return of 3.4. There's nothing in my work pension. There's nothing to record in my gear. So let's move on to the totals. Now, I've also recorded the total units purchased this month, because when the markets are going down, it can be disheartening. So I wanted to see how many units I owned, so I know that when the markets returned, those units would still be there and they would be worth a lot more in the future. So I started off with 2.7 units on my first month, then I increased to 3.5 units, then I increased to 4.3 units. If I only put £100 in a month, I'm not even purchasing 1 unit. I'm purchasing 0.77 units. But in the future, I am going to increase how much I'm going to be investing. I'm going to get up to about £600 that I will be adding every month to my investments. So the total at the bottom tells me the total amount that I've added to my investments this month. I added £200. And in total, over the 3 months, I've added £1,100 to my investments, bringing my total investment to £1,186. So the change from last month has been £222. The total growth has been £11, but last month it was £14. And if I wanted to take out 4% of my investments to live on and have my portfolio continue to grow, I can take out £47 a month. I need £1,000 a month to live on, so I'm a long way away from that. But hopefully once I sell the house, then things will start to improve, because I will be adding in a large lump sum into the investment, hopefully around about 80,000. If you're new to this channel, go and watch one of my other videos and you'll see what my plan for early retirement is. And as people kept on asking for my spreadsheets, I decided that every new spreadsheet that I show, I'm going to make it available for sale. So my mission this week, before this video is published, is to make this investment tracker available for sale. So hopefully by the time this video is published, you will be able to see it in the description below, and I'm going to make it available at a rock bottom price, just covering my costs basically, just so I can get it into the hands of people, get some feedback and potentially improve it. So if you've got any improvements that you'd like to see to the spreadsheet, let me know in the comments below. I also just quickly wanted to show you a little graph that I added into my own spreadsheet. I've not yet put this on the one that I'm selling. I'm just testing it at the moment. But at the bottom here, I've just got a little graph that shows my total investments and how they are nicely growing every single month. And I will add this to the main spreadsheet soon once I've done some testing. Have I missed anything in this spreadsheet? Let me know. I do love constructive criticism. It helps me to improve. Although I have known about index funds for a while, this is the first time I've actually had my own index funds. I did have them as part of my marriage, but my ex had them in his name, so he controlled them and recorded them. So it's not quite the same. It's nice when you've got your own investments and you can do your own tracking and you feel totally in control. So this is really exciting for me. So what did you think of my report? Let me know in the comments below. I am so excited about these investments. It is such a nice feeling to know that you're making money while you're sleeping. And yes, it goes up and down, but the overall trend will be up. And this is how I manage to keep my emotions in check, knowing that overall it will keep going up, or it should keep going up. Nobody knows the future, but based on past performances, things always increase. So I am pretty certain that it will continue to increase. And because I've got my plan Bs and I'm not going to be putting all of my eggs in my investment basket, I'm going to have cash buffers when I retire, and other ways of generating income once I stop working my job. So that's how I'm stopping myself worrying about the markets going down and about losing my money, because you haven't actually lost your money until you try taking your money out. And if my investment pot has shrunk, I'm not going to take it out. I'm going to use other funds, other income streams. I'm recording how many units I've got, so I know I've still got those units. And when everyone's panicking and selling all their investments, I'm going to hang tight, knowing that my growth is going to happen very, very suddenly and very, very quickly. And I'm going to be in a better position than I started if I just hang tight. And I'll be sharing these ups and downs with you on this channel, and you'll be able to see this in real time. So I'm not an expert in investments. I've only just started my learning journey, but I do feel fairly confident because I took a free 10-week course by the Rebel Finance School. And if you are new to investments or you're not confident, I highly recommend you do that. They never sell you anything. They don't upsell you. They don't share any links with you. It's all completely free. It's a charitable donation to the public because they had massive success with early retirement themselves, and this is them giving back. I learned so much. I sat down and almost wrote a book of notes. It was absolutely life-changing for me. I can't recommend it highly enough. And that course has given me the confidence to withstand, to keep my emotions in check, to even withstand the comments on this channel that say, my plan's going to fail, it's not going to work, you're going to end up with nothing. And I'm confident in my plans because I've learned how investments actually work. And yes, I might not know every technical ins and outs of investment, but I know generally how they work, and that is good enough for me. But I'm more than happy to listen and act on genuine, helpful, constructive feedback. So keep it coming. Next month, I'll be sharing another investment report with you, and I'll be adding my work-based pension to it, which is all very exciting because then I'll have 3 investment pots. On this channel, I'm also sharing other updates with you, my income report, my business report, my net worth report, and other videos, my journey towards early retirement. Thank you so much for all of your support. Let me know in the comments below. Do you have any investments? What are your investments? How do you keep your emotions in check with your investments when you see them going down? Have an amazing week, and I will see you soon.